Welcome everyone. I hope you're having a wonderful week two, and I hope that your week one was good. I sometimes say week one and two, or sometimes I say module. So whatever you prefer, that's good with me in here. So we're going to be talking about syntax a little, and just remember that it's very important to understand good coding procedures in there. Sometimes things actually are correct, but they're not very good as far as efficiency and as far as good practice. And I usually give an example to my students about someone driving on the highway. I live in Florida, where the speed limit on the Florida Turnpike is either 65 or 70, depending upon what part you're in. Well, so let's just say that is 70, and under normal circumstances, 70 is good. So let's go and say that now it's pouring down rain and you're driving 70. Well, technically, it is legal and is it acceptable, but is it recommended? And the reason why it's not recommended, because now you're going into a greater chance of having an issue. So that's the same thing with programming, which is why I always teach putting parentheses and always declaring things on separate lines, initializing items, something that I discussed in my best practices. But we're not going to go into that right now. We're just going to talk about if statements. So remember that you saw an if statement and you saw an if-else statement. So now we have some multiple statements where if something, else, if it's something else, if it's something else. So an example of that could be if today is Monday, we have biology. Else, if today is Tuesday, we have science. Else, if today is Wednesday, we have math. Else, if today is Thursday, we have something else. And then you can either do else if Friday and say we have this, or you can just do an else, assuming there's only Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I like to put in the else if, and then in my code, I will put in else, but then I will just say we should never get here. So I know if I'm running the program and something pops up that says we should never get here, there's some kind of code in there that is lacking or wrong, so, or user input that I did not account for. So anyway, that is a video for another time. So let's go through this real quick. So we have a user's age is either going to be less than 6, greater than 6. So let's start off right from the beginning. And if it's less than 6, then there's no teams. Otherwise, if it's less than 8. So that automatically means that it's 6 or above. So that's the same as saying else if age is greater than or equal to 6 and less than 8. But we don't have to do that because we know it can't be 6. So it's got to be at least 6. Can't be less than 6. And same thing with if age is less than 10. We know that we don't have to check with 8 because we checked for it here. Now, my personal preference is to start at the top. And you'll see that if you look at my grading program video, which will be posted shortly, where we're looking for grades, and I start off with if the grade is greater than 90. And normally what I'll do is put in a constant value, which would be represent the highest score. So I would start off with greater than, and I may do greater than or equal to 90, and less than or equal to the highest score, then grade is an A. Then I do my else if. So let's go through these here and look at the ranges. So if it's less than 10, the range is going to be 0 to 9. If it's less than 20, the range will be 10 to 19. We know that it can't be less than 10 because that's the first branch. And here we have less than 30. Well, we know that it can't be less than 20, so it's got to be at least 20. So we have 20 to 29, and 30 and above is here. So we're good here. So let's try one or two of these here. And let's look at if x is greater than 100. So what we need to do is look at our range, and I'm going to make a mistake here. So it says, notice it says to whatever this is in 100. So let's put in 100 and let's check our answer and let's let Zybooks tell us where we went wrong. Ah, what is 1 more than 100? Ah, we need it to be 101. And the reason for that is because it says it's greater than 100. So we're good here. So let's not fall into the same trap that we have here. So we're going to do 51 to 100. And we'll check it out here. And that looks good in here. So else we have our infinity in here. So I'm going to let you work on these on your own because this requires a little bit of thinking. But remember, we have minus infinity. And notice that we have greater than 100 and greater than 50. So far we haven't checked to see if anything is less than 50. So there's kind of a little bit of hint. And then you can work on this. This looks a little bit challenging, but it's really not that hard. So work on that. And if you have some issues, let Zybooks help you out in here. So here is another example of basically the same thing. We're looking for age, and you can see that if it's less than 16, we're going to go here. This is a decision. The diamond is a decision, so it's too young to output, or you're going to output too young, and then it's going to do insurance price is 0, and it's going to skip all that stuff and go down here. Then you check to see if it's less than 25. If so, it's going to go to 4,800. If not, it's going to check for less than 40. So we're good here. And so you want to work on these based upon the output from here. And let's go to our very next section. We're going to do this briefly. It's fairly simple. So we have several different ones here. We have less than, greater than or equal, and less than or equal. This is less than or equal. This is greater. Now notice that the equal sign is after the less than sign here, and it's after the equal. The equal sign is less than the greater sign. I knew I could eventually get that out. So notice there is no not equal. So a lot of people think it's a less than followed by a greater. Unfortunately, it is not. It's the exclamation point followed by the equal sign. So let's take a look at this. Indicate whether this expression evaluates true or false. So x is 5 and y is 7. And to help you figure it out, just substitute 5 for x. Is 5 less than or equal to 7? I believe it is. So let's click on true and see how that works. So now we have y greater than or equal to 7. So let's substitute 7 for y. So 7 is greater than or equal to 7. I believe it is. So now we have a valid expression. Is this valid? Well, we just talked about that it's not. So it really needs to be the exclamation point followed by the equal sign. So let's click on this here. And is this a valid expression? Well, remember we need to have the equal sign after either the greater than sign or the less than sign. So let's choose no. All right, we'll do one or two of these here. Is num, we want to know num dogs greater than 10. We're just going to put in a greater than sign. Num cars is greater than or equal to 5. So let's put greater than or equal to. And I did not check that, and I did not check that. So the rest are similar, so you can work on these. And again, these are just more of the same. So you can run this. It does a very good explanation of it. And again, here is another explanation of sales. So you can see if sales is less than 10, what are you going to do? And what is the range of the second branch? Well, you know it can't be less than 10, so it should be 2019, pretty much or 10 to 19, what we did before. So you can work on these here. And again, we have basically the same thing. So I really want you to work on your own here to just develop the practice on that. And then if you run into any issues, of course, let me know and I'll be more than happy to help you. And then it's going to give you a few programming assignments that will help you here. So you can see how we're doing fewer than 60, and usernum is fewer than minus 60 output in here. So what you want to do is put your code here. Now, you can click here and type and do all these things, and nothing's going to happen until you choose start. So just bear that in mind. Once you choose start, then you can do it, and it's going to give you different aspects in here. So let's go with the level jump. Can only jump to completed levels in here. So I've already completed one, so I can't go back to it. It's very simple. So let's go and look at these here. And again, it's more of the same. So again, you're going to need to put in start before you can work on it. So it's best to do the programming on your own. And then if you run into a problem, please let me know, and I'd be more than happy to help you out with that. So that is it for this video. Look for the video that I'll be posting in a few moments that has the grading program, and it's the way I start from the top, and it's basically going to do exactly what you're going to do in these videos here. The practice that you're going to be getting, it will really be valuable. So let me know if you have any problems, and I'd be more than happy to help you.